Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Please channel like and comment this start video.
You were not created by accident, and that truth hits different when you finally slow down enough to feel it. Because for most of your life, you've been moving on autopilot, waking up, working, scrolling, surviving, repeating, never stopping to question why your heart feels restless, even when your basic needs are met. Never asking why success without meaning feels hollow, never confronting the quiet voice inside you that whispers there has to be more than just existing until you die, because accidental things don't ask questions about meaning. Accidental things don't feel a pull towards something greater. Accidental things don't carry dreams that refuse to die even after repeated failure. And yet here you are, breathing, thinking, hoping, hurting, desiring, questioning. And that alone is proof that your life is loaded with intention, because randomness does not produce responsibility and chance does not create calling. From the moment you came into this world, you arrived with fingerprints that have never existed before and will never exist again. A mind wired in a way no one else's is. A voice that carries a frequency only you can release into this world. And the mistake most people make is thinking purpose starts when you succeed, when you become known, when you reach a certain age or status. But purpose existed before your achievements, and it will outlive your failures, because purpose is not something you earn. It is something you uncover, something you remember, something you return to after life tries to convince you that you're just another number in the system, just another worker, just another body taking up space. When you believe you are an accident, you live like one, you drift, you settle, you accept disrespect, you tolerate mediocrity, you numb yourself with distractions, you copy other people's past because you don't believe yours matters enough to be discovered. But the moment you realize you were created on purpose, everything changes. Your pain starts to make sense. Your struggles take on meaning. Your delays stop feeling like denial and start feeling like preparation. Because intentional creation always comes with intentional training. Look at your life honestly. Not the highlights you show the world, but the real story, the obstacles that shaped you, the wounds that humbled you, the setbacks that forced you to grow muscles you never planned to build. Those weren't random interruptions. Those were assignments, because purpose is rarely revealed in comfort. It is forged in resistance, refined in pressure, clarified in moments where quitting feels logical, but something deeper refuses to let you walk away. And that something deeper is the truth that you were designed to carry something through this life that no one else can carry the way you can. You don't question the purpose of a rock or a tree or the sun, because they are already doing what they were created to do. But humans are different because we have choice, and choice creates confusion, and confusion creates disconnection from purpose. And when you disconnect from purpose, you start measuring your life by other people's standards, their timelines, their definitions of success, their opinions, their applause. And suddenly you're living someone else's dream while your own purpose is starving in silence. You were not born just to pay bills and die. You were not created just to chase money without meaning. You were not designed just to survive trauma and call that a life. There is something encoded in you that demands expression. And when it's suppressed, it turns into anxiety, frustration, anger, emptiness, because purpose denied always shows up as pain. And the world will tell you that pain means something is wrong with you. But sometimes pain is proof that something great inside you is being ignored. Think about it. Even when you try to quit caring, even when you say you're done dreaming, even when you lower your expectations to protect yourself from disappointment, something inside you keeps reaching, keeps longing, keeps asking for more depth, more meaning, more impact. Because accidents don't long for meaning. Accidents don't feel responsible for the future. Accidents don't feel called to serve, to build, to heal, to lead, to create, to transform. Your existence alone carries responsibility, because if you are here on purpose, then someone somewhere is waiting on what you carry, waiting on your voice, your resilience, your testimony, your compassion, your strength, your perspective. And the tragedy is not death. The tragedy is leaving this world without releasing what you were sent to give, without fully becoming who you were designed to be. Every season of your life has been shaping you toward that release. Even the seasons you resent, even the chapters you wish you could erase, because purpose doesn't come wrapped in comfort, it comes wrapped in challenge. And when you start seeing your life through that lens, you stop asking, why me? And you start asking, what is this preparing me for? What muscle is this building? What perspective is this giving me that I'll need later? You weren't created as a copy, so stop living like one. Stop shrinking yourself to fit environments that were never meant to contain you. Stop apologizing for the weight of your vision, because intentional creation always carries weight, and that weight feels heavy only when you try to carry it without understanding why you're carrying it. When you understand that your life is intentional, you stop wasting time trying to prove your worth to people who can't see it. You stop chasing validation from a world that profits from your insecurity. You stop defining yourself by your lowest moments, because intentional design means even your flaws can be refined into function. Even your scars can become sources of strength. Even your past can become a platform instead of a prison. There is a reason you survived what should have broken you. A reason you're still standing after storms that took others out. A reason your heart still beats with desire despite disappointment. And that reason is not luck, it is assignment. And assignments are not given to accidents. They are given to those equipped to carry them, even if they don't feel equipped yet. Purpose does not scream, it whispers. And you hear it most clearly when the world gets quiet, when you stop performing, when you stop pretending, when you sit alone with your thoughts and feel that pull towards something meaningful, something impactful, something bigger than yourself. And the more you ignore that whisper, the louder your dissatisfaction becomes. You were created with intention, and intention demands response. It demands courage. It demands responsibility. It demands that you stop running from who you are and start stepping into who you were meant to become, because the world doesn't need another distracted soul. It needs people who know why they're here and are willing to live like it. When you finally accept that you are not an accident, you stop living passively. You stop letting life happen to you. You start happening to life. You start moving with direction instead of drifting with circumstances. And that shift alone changes how you wake up in the morning, how you face adversity, how you define success, how you measure progress, because now every step matters, every decision carries weight, every day becomes an opportunity to align more closely with why you exist. Your life is not random, your breath is not borrowed by chance, your story is not meaningless filler between birth and death. It is a deliberate narrative unfolding in real time. And the sooner you stop treating it like an accident, the sooner you begin living it like an assignment. Purpose is not found in pleasure, power, or possessions. And that truth is uncomfortable, because everything around you is designed to convince you otherwise. The world tells you happiness lives in comfort, in ease, in escape, in having more and doing less. It tells you success is about being above others, louder than others, richer than others, more admired than others. And if you listen long enough, you start confusing stimulation with fulfillment, excitement with meaning, applause with purpose. But deep down, you already know the difference, because pleasure fades the moment it is consumed, power isolates the moment it is secured, and possessions lose their shine the moment they become normal. Pleasure feels good, but it does not make you whole. It distracts you from the emptiness, but never fills it. And that's why the need for pleasure grows stronger over time, because it never satisfies the root hunger. It only feeds the surface. So you chase more experiences, more entertainment, more validation, more escape, hoping the next hit will finally quiet the restlessness inside you. But it never does, because purpose doesn't calm you through indulgence. It challenges you through responsibility. Power looks impressive, but it cannot give your life meaning on its own. Control over others does not equal control over self. Authority without service turns into ego, and ego is fragile, constantly needing reinforcement, constantly threatened by anyone rising around it. So instead of peace, you gain paranoia. Instead of fulfillment, you gain fear of loss, because when your identity is built on dominance, your worth is always at risk. And purpose is never something you defend. It is something you live. Possessions promise security, status, comfort, but they cannot answer the question of why you wake up every day. They can improve your lifestyle without improving your soul. They can decorate your life without defining it. And that's why people who have everything can still feel empty, still feel lost, still feel disconnected, because purpose does not come from what you own. It comes from what you contribute. The lie is subtle, because pleasure, power, and possessions are not evil. They are just incomplete. They are tools, not destinations, rewards, not reasons. And when you make them the goal, you turn your life into a chase that never ends, because there is always someone with more, something newer, something better. And comparison becomes your compass instead of meaning, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and unsatisfied. Purpose is found in service and growth, and service does not mean weakness. It means alignment. It means using what you have to create value beyond yourself. It means recognizing that your gifts were not given just to decorate your life, but to impact others. And when your life starts solving problems instead of chasing comfort, something inside you wakes up, because humans are wired for contribution, not consumption. Growth is uncomfortable, demanding, sometimes painful. And that's why many people avoid it, because growth requires honesty, discipline, humility, and patience. It forces you to face your limitations. Instead of hiding behind distractions, it requires you to stretch beyond who you've been instead of repeating what feels safe. And purpose lives in that stretch, not in stagnation. When you serve, you shift your focus outward. And when you grow, you elevate inward. And that combination creates meaning, because now your life is not just about how you feel, but about how you function. Not just about what you gain, but about what you give. And that shift changes how you experience struggle, because struggle in service feels different than struggle in selfish pursuit. Serving others does not drain you the way chasing pleasure does. It energizes you, even when it costs you something, because it aligns you with something bigger than your moves. And when your actions are connected to meaning, fatigue feels purposeful. Pleasure asks, what do I want right now? Power asks, how do I stay on top? Possessions ask, what do I need to feel secure? But purpose asks, who am I becoming and who is benefiting from it? And that question rearranges your priorities, your habits, your relationships, your time. When your life is centered on service and growth, success becomes a byproduct instead of a burden, because you are no longer trying to prove yourself. You are trying to improve yourself. And improvement attracts opportunity naturally, without desperation. Purpose does not make life easier, it makes it clearer. And clarity brings peace, even in struggle, because now you know why you endure, why you sacrifice, why you push through resistance, and why quitting would cost you more than continuing. The world will keep offering shortcuts to happiness, quick wins, surface level satisfaction, but deep fulfillment only comes when your life is aligned with contribution and evolution, when your days are connected to something meaningful, something necessary, something that challenges you to rise, when you stop living for pleasure, power, and possessions, and start living for service and growth. Your life stops revolving around your emotions and starts moving with intention. And intention is where purpose lives. Pain is not punishment, even though that is the first story your mind tells you. When life hits hard, when doors close, when people leave, when plans collapse, when effort does not produce immediate reward, because the human instinct is to assume that suffering means something is wrong with you or that you have done something wrong. But pain does not show up randomly. It shows up where growth is required. And the problem is not pain itself. The problem is how quickly we try to escape it instead of listening to it. From childhood, you are taught to avoid discomfort, to fear struggle, to see pain as an enemy. So when it arrives, you panic, you question your worth. You doubt your direction. You assume you are off track. But what if pain is not a sign you are lost? What if it is a sign you are being shaped? Because nothing meaningful is formed without pressure. Nothing strong is built without resistance. And nothing purposeful is revealed without testing. Look at your own life. The moments that changed you the most were not the easy ones. They were the moments that hurt, the moments that forced you to grow up, to toughen up, to think deeper, to see clearer, to choose differently, because comfort rarely teaches, but pain always does. Pain strips away illusion. Pain exposes weakness. Pain reveals priorities. Pain shows you what actually matters when everything else is taken away. Pain slows you down so you can hear what you've been ignoring. It interrupts your routine so you can reevaluate your direction. It humbles you so you can learn. And when you resist it, when you numb it, when you distract yourself from it, you miss the lesson, and the pain returns in another form, stronger, louder, more demanding of your attention. Many people never discover their purpose because they run from the very experiences designed to reveal it. They pray for comfort instead of clarity. They ask for relief instead of understanding. And in doing so, they stay shallow, because purpose requires depth, and depth is carved through adversity, not ease. Pain introduces you to yourself, not the version you show the world, but the version that emerges under pressure, the version that feels fear, doubt, anger, grief, and still has to decide whether to quit or continue. And that decision is where purpose begins to take shape, because purpose is not found in what you say you believe. It is revealed in what you choose when believing is hard. When life hurts, it forces honesty. It forces you to confront the gap between who you are and who you could be, between how you live and what you claim to value. And that confrontation is uncomfortable, but necessary, because purpose requires alignment, and alignment cannot happen without awareness. Some pain is corrective. It stops you from continuing down paths that look good but lead nowhere. Some pain is preparatory. It builds endurance for assignments you cannot yet see. Some pain is transformational. It breaks old versions of you so new ones can emerge. But all pain carries information, and the only way it becomes punishment is when you waste it. Think about the strength you carry now that you did not have before you suffered, the empathy you developed because you were hurt, the discipline you gained because you failed, the wisdom you earned because you endured. Those are not accidents. Those are tools, and tools are given for a reason. Pain narrows your focus. It forces you to prioritize what truly matters. Because when life is comfortable, you can afford distractions. But when life hurts, you become selective, intentional, serious. And that seriousness often leads you closer to your purpose than comfort ever could. People admire confidence. But confidence is built through surviving difficulty. People respect resilience, but resilience is born in hardship. People trust leaders who understand struggle, but understanding struggle requires experiencing it. And that is why so many purposeful lives have painful beginnings. Pain teaches patience because healing takes time, and purpose unfolds in seasons, not moments. Pain teaches humility because you realize you cannot control everything, and humility opens you to learning. Pain teaches compassion because once you have suffered, you see others differently. And that compassion often becomes part of your calling. The question is not, why am I hurting? The question is, what is this pain preparing me to carry? Because if your life were only about comfort, pain would be unnecessary. But if your life is about impact, then pain becomes training. Many people allow pain to turn them bitter, closed, guarded, but pain can also make you better, open, grounded, and purposeful. The difference is not the pain itself, but the meaning you assign to it. And meaning is a choice. When you see pain as punishment, you shrink, you withdraw, you resent life, you blame others, you give up too early. But when you see pain as a pathway, you lean in, you learn, you grow, you refine, and you begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. Pain often removes what is unnecessary, so what is essential can remain. It strips away false identities, unhealthy attachments, misplaced priorities. And while that process feels like loss, it is actually clarification, because purpose cannot operate through clutter. Some of the things you lost were blocking what you were meant to become. Some of the failures you experienced were redirecting you. Some of the heartbreaks you endured were saving you from futures that would have cost you your soul. But you can only see that clearly when you stop fighting the pain and start learning from it. Purpose is not handed to you fully formed. It is revealed layer by layer. And pain peels those layers back, showing you what you can handle, what you care about, what you refuse to tolerate, and what you are willing to fight for. Pain tests commitment. It asks, how badly do you want this? It exposes whether your dreams are fantasies or callings, because fantasies disappear when pain arrives, but callings grow louder, more insistent, more demanding of your courage. Some pain is self-inflicted, coming from avoidance, procrastination, fear, and that pain teaches accountability. It forces you to take responsibility for your choices, and responsibility is essential to purpose, because you cannot live on purpose while blaming everything else for your life. Pain matures you. It deepens your perspective. It shifts your values. It teaches you that life is fragile and time is limited, and that awareness often ignites purpose. Because once you understand that time is not guaranteed, you stop wasting it on things that do not matter. Purpose born from pain carries authenticity because it is tested, it is grounded, it is real, and people can feel that. They can sense when someone speaks from experience rather than theory, when someone leads from scars rather than slogans. Your pain has a voice, and if you listen carefully, it will tell you where your strength is, where your passion lies, where your compassion is needed, because often the thing that hurts you the most is the thing you are meant to help others heal from. Pain does not define you, but it does refine you. It does not disqualify you, but it does prepare you. It does not mean you are weak, but that you are being strengthened. And when you stop asking pain to leave and start asking it to teach, your life begins to shift. The pathway to purpose is rarely smooth. It is uneven, challenging, demanding, and painful at times. But that pathway produces depth, resilience, and clarity. And those qualities are essential for a life that truly matters. Pain is not the end of your story. It is a chapter, a necessary one, a shaping one, a revealing one. And when you walk through it with awareness instead of resentment, it leads you closer to who you were meant to become. A life without purpose feels busy but empty, loud but lost. When there's no purpose, everything feels urgent and nothing feels important. You rush from task to task, commitment to commitment, responsibility to responsibility. Relationships suffer in a purposeless life because without inner clarity, you either cling too tightly or detach too easily. You look to others to give you meaning they were never meant to provide, or you isolate yourself to avoid confronting your own confusion. And either way, connection becomes shallow, transactional, or exhausting. Time feels different when you lack purpose. Days blur together, weeks disappear, years pass without clear memory because moments gain significance from intention. And without intention, life becomes a series of forgettable routines, leaving you wondering where the time went and why nothing feels memorable. A life without purpose creates constant low-level anxiety, not panic, but restlessness, a feeling that something is missing, something is off, something needs attention, and no amount of achievement seems to fix it, because anxiety often comes from misalignment, not incompetence. People try to fill the emptiness with goals, but goals without purpose turn into pressure. They become boxes to check instead of expressions of identity. And once they're achieved, the emptiness returns, because the goal was never the problem, the lack of meaning behind it was. When you don't know your purpose, decisions become harder because there is no clear filter, no guiding principle, no internal compass. So every choice feels risky. Every opportunity feels confusing. Every path feels equally uncertain, leading to indecision, hesitation, and regret. A purposeless life often leads to overcommitment, saying yes to everything out of fear of missing out, fear of disappointing others, fear of standing still. But over time, those yeses turn into resentment, exhaustion, and burnout, because you are giving energy to things that don't give meaning back. You can hear it in the way people talk when they lack purpose. Phrases like, I don't know, I'm just tired, I'm stuck, I feel empty, I'm bored, I'm overwhelmed. These are not complaints about circumstances. They are symptoms of misalignment. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment, sacrifice feels unfair, and consistency feels impossible, because effort without meaning feels heavy, but effort with meaning feels necessary even when it's hard. A purposeless life disconnects you from your own potential, because potential needs direction to become reality, and without purpose, your abilities remain scattered, underused, or misused, leading to frustration and self-doubt. Being lost does not mean you are broken. It means you are disconnected. Disconnected from why you exist, disconnected from what matters to you, disconnected from what you are meant to contribute. And that disconnection is painful, because your purpose is revealed when your gifts meet the needs of others. And that truth shifts everything, because it pulls purpose out of fantasy and places it into reality. It takes it out of vague dreams and anchors it in real human problems, real pain, real gaps, real needs. Because purpose is not something mystical floating somewhere in the future. It is practical, grounded, and actionable, waiting at the intersection of what you can do and what the world is missing. You were born with gifts, not just talents you can see, but instincts, sensitivities, perspectives, ways of thinking and feeling that came naturally to you before the world told you what was valuable. And the mistake many people make is measuring their gifts by popularity instead of usefulness, by applause instead of impact, by comparison instead of contribution. And when you do that, you overlook the very things that make you necessary. Your gifts might not look impressive at first glance. They might feel ordinary because they come easily to you. And what comes easily is often undervalued. But ease is not a sign of insignificance. It is often a clue, because what flows naturally from you is often what others struggle to access. And that struggle creates need. Some people have the gift of understanding. They listen deeply. They read between lines. They sense emotions before words are spoken. And in a world full of noise and misunderstanding, that gift meets the need for empathy, healing, and connection. Some people have the gift of clarity. They can take complex ideas and make them simple. They see structure where others see chaos. And in a world overwhelmed by information, that gift meets the need for guidance and direction. Some people have the gift of resilience. They get back up again and again, not because they don't feel pain, but because they've learned how to move through it. And in a world full of discouraged people, that gift meets the need for hope and example. Some people have the gift of leadership, not control, but responsibility. They naturally see what needs to be done and feel compelled to step forward. And in a world avoiding accountability, that gift meets the need for direction and courage. Some people have the gift of creativity. They see possibilities where others see limits. They imagine new ways forward. And in a world stuck in routine, that gift meets the need for innovation and inspiration. Purpose becomes clear when you stop asking, what do I want to do? And start asking, what do people need that I'm uniquely able to provide? Because the world does not reward potential. It responds to service, and service gives your gifts context. Many people feel lost because they separate their gifts from real life. They wait for perfect conditions, ideal platforms, recognition, or permission. But purpose is not waiting for you somewhere else. It is waiting for you to show up where you are and start using what you already have. Your gifts sharpen through use, not through theory. And the more you apply them to real needs, the clearer your purpose becomes, because clarity comes from action, not contemplation. And purpose is not found by thinking harder, but by serving consistently. Needs are everywhere, but many people are too busy chasing status to see them, too distracted to notice pain, too focused on themselves to recognize gaps. But when you become observant, when you pay attention to what frustrates you, what angers you, what breaks your heart, you often discover the needs you are wired to address. What frustrates you is often a clue, because frustration reveals sensitivity, and sensitivity reveals calling. You are bothered by what you are meant to help fix. You notice what you are meant to improve, and ignoring that frustration does not make it disappear. It turns into restlessness. Your gifts grow stronger when they are stretched by real responsibility, and responsibility forces you to mature, to refine, to discipline yourself, because when others depend on you, excuses lose their power and growth accelerates. Purpose is not about being everything to everyone. It is about being something meaningful to someone, and that requires focus, humility, and patience, because depth always matters more than reach. Many people confuse passion with excitement, but passion is sustained interest in solving a problem, not just enjoying an activity. And when your gifts are applied to a real need, passion deepens, because impact fuels commitment. You don't need a global platform to live on purpose. You need proximity. Proximity to people, problems, and places where your gifts can make a difference, because purpose begins local before it ever becomes visible. When your gifts meet needs, your confidence grows naturally, not from praise, but from usefulness, from knowing that what you do matters, that it helps, that it changes something. And that kind of confidence is quiet, grounded, and resilient. Serving others does not mean neglecting yourself. It means aligning yourself, because when your gifts are used well, they energize you instead of draining you. And exhaustion often comes from misuse, not effort. Purpose demands responsibility, because once you see a need you can meet, you can no longer pretend you didn't notice. And that awareness creates obligation, not guilt, but commitment. Some people avoid purpose because it feels heavy, because it asks more than the comfort does. But that weight is meaningful. It gives structure to your life. It gives direction to your energy. It gives reason to your sacrifice. Your gifts are not random hobbies. They are tools, and tools are designed to be used, not admired. And unused tools rust. They lose effectiveness. They create frustration, because they were made for action. Needs change over time, and so does how your gifts are expressed. Purpose evolves as you grow, but the core remains the same: contribution, impact, service, growth. When you align your gifts with needs, your life stops feeling scattered. Your energy consolidates. Your decisions simplify, because you now have a filter. Does this help me serve better or not? Purpose is reinforced by feedback, not applause, but real results. Lives improve, problems reduce, clarity gain, and that feedback builds conviction. The world does not need more people asking, "What about me?" It needs people asking, "Where can I help?" And the moment you shift into that mindset, purpose stops being confusing and starts becoming obvious. Your gifts may feel small, but needs start small too. And significance grows through consistency, not scale. And showing up matters more than standing out. When your gifts meet real needs, your work gains meaning, your effort gains direction, and your life gains coherence, because now what you do is connected to why you exist. Purpose is not about chasing greatness. It is about meeting needs faithfully with what you have, where you are, as you grow, and that alignment turns ordinary actions into meaningful contributions. Your purpose is not hidden from you. It is revealed every time you use your gifts to help someone, solve something, improve something, heal something, build something, because purpose shows itself in motion, not in waiting. Living on purpose means choosing meaning over comfort every single day. And that choice is rarely dramatic or visible. It happens quietly in small decisions, in habits no one applauds, in sacrifices no one celebrates, because comfort is always available, always tempting, always justified, while meaning demands effort, discipline, patience, and courage. And that is why most people drift toward what feels easy instead of what feels right. Comfort promises relief. It whispers that you deserve rest before responsibility, ease before effort, pleasure before purpose, and sometimes rest is necessary. Sometimes comfort is healthy, but when comfort becomes your compass, it slowly replaces growth with convenience, intention with habit, and over time you wake up living a life that feels safe but shallow. Meaning does not shout. It calls quietly, often through responsibility, through commitment, through work that stretches you. And when you choose meaning, you often feel resistance first, not inspiration, because meaning requires you to show up even when motivation is low, even when progress is slow, even when results are uncertain. Choosing meaning over comfort means doing what matters even when it is inconvenient, having hard conversations instead of avoiding them, telling the truth instead of protecting your image, committing to growth instead of clinging to familiarity. And those choices feel heavy in the moment, but they build a life that feels solid, grounded, and real. Comfort asks, how can I avoid discomfort today? Meaning asks, who do I need to become today? And those questions lead to very different lives. One focused on minimizing pain, the other focused on maximizing impact. And while avoiding pain feels good temporarily, it costs you strength, confidence, and self-respect in the long run. Living on purpose requires discipline because discipline bridges the gap between intention and action. It keeps you moving when emotions fluctuate, and emotions will fluctuate. Motivation will fade, excitement will pass, but discipline anchored in meaning sustains effort. Comfort encourages shortcuts, meaning demands process. Comfort looks for quick relief, meaning accepts long-term responsibility. Comfort wants immediate reward, meaning values delayed fulfillment. And every day you are choosing one over the other, even when you are not aware of it. When you choose comfort consistently, your tolerance for discomfort decreases. Challenges feel heavier, resistance feels unbearable, and growth feels threatening. But when you choose meaning consistently, discomfort becomes familiar, manageable, even useful, because you understand why you are enduring it. Living on purpose means accepting that some days will be hard without immediate payoff, that progress will sometimes be invisible, that effort will not always be rewarded quickly, but meaning gives you patience because you are not chasing feelings, you are building something. Comfort asks you to stay where you are, meaning asks you to evolve, and evolution requires leaving behind old patterns, old identities, old excuses, and that separation feels like loss, but it is actually alignment. Choosing meaning over comfort means setting boundaries, saying no to things that drain you even if they entertain you, protecting your energy for what truly matters. And boundaries are uncomfortable because they disappoint others, but they preserve your purpose. Living on purpose often feels lonely, not because you are alone, but because fewer people are willing to choose meaning consistently. And when you move differently, think differently, prioritize differently, you stand out, and standing out invites misunderstanding. Comfort seeks approval, meaning seeks alignment, and approval is addictive. It feels good to be liked, praised, accepted, but living for approval slowly disconnects you from yourself, while living for alignment strengthens your inner compass. Choosing meaning requires self-awareness, knowing what matters to you, what you value, what you are responsible for, and self-awareness grows through reflection, not distraction, through honesty, not avoidance. Comfort encourages distraction, constant noise, constant entertainment, constant escape, because distraction numbs discomfort, but it also numbs insight, and insight is essential for purpose. Living on purpose means being willing to feel discomfort fully, frustration, doubt, fatigue, fear, without running from it, because those emotions are part of the process, not signs of failure. Meaning gives structure to suffering. It allows you to endure difficulty without becoming bitter, because you understand that the struggle is connected to something worthwhile. Choosing meaning over comfort means committing to growth even when it threatens your ego, being teachable even when you are experienced, being humble even when you are capable, because growth requires openness. Comfort flatters the ego, meaning strengthens the character, and character is what sustains purpose when circumstances change. Living on purpose requires consistency, showing up when it is boring, repetitive, unglamorous, because purpose is built in repetition, not in rare moments of inspiration. Comfort encourages you to quit when it gets hard, meaning reminds you why you started, and that reminder is powerful enough to carry you through resistance. Choosing meaning over comfort means taking responsibility for your life instead of blaming circumstances. Recognizing that while you cannot control everything, you can control your response, your effort, your integrity. Living on purpose means aligning your daily actions with your deeper values, not just your short-term desires, because values give direction when desires conflict. Comfort wants you to feel good now, meaning wants you to live well overall, and living well often requires short-term discomfort for long-term fulfillment. Choosing meaning means being intentional with time, recognizing that time is finite, that every hour invested in distraction is an hour not invested in growth, service, or contribution. Living on purpose means doing the work even when no one is watching, because integrity matters more than recognition, and purpose respects integrity. Comfort avoids risk, meaning accepts uncertainty, because growth requires stepping into the unknown, and certainty often keeps you stuck. Choosing meaning over comfort means trusting the process, even when outcomes are unclear, because meaning is rooted in direction, not guarantees. Living on purpose demands courage, the courage to be misunderstood, to fail publicly, to start small, to continue when progress is slow, and courage grows through use. Comfort seeks control, meaning embraces responsibility, and responsibility gives your life weight, significance, and direction. Choosing meaning means confronting your own limitations honestly, not to shame yourself, but to strengthen yourself, because awareness precedes improvement. Living on purpose means building habits that support your values, even when those habits feel restrictive at first, because structure creates freedom. Comfort promises freedom through ease, meaning delivers freedom through alignment, because when you live in alignment, decisions become clearer, priorities sharpen, and energy focuses. Choosing meaning over comfort means investing in yourself consistently, learning, refining, improving, not for ego, but for effectiveness. Living on purpose requires patience with yourself, understanding that growth is gradual, that mistakes are part of the journey, that persistence matters more than perfection. Comfort avoids pain, meaning transforms pain into progress, because when pain is connected to purpose, it becomes bearable, even useful. Choosing meaning means being present, fully engaged with your life instead of numbing it, because presence allows you to notice opportunities to serve, grow, and contribute. Living on purpose means choosing depth over speed, substance over appearance, direction over drift. Comfort seeks satisfaction, meaning seeks significance, and significance is what gives life its lasting weight. Choosing meaning over comfort every day is not a one-time decision. It is a practice, a discipline, a commitment renewed in ordinary moments, because purpose is lived daily, not declared once.